All you have to do is follow 3 simple rules. 1, never underestimate your opponent. Expect the unexpected. 2, take it outside. Never start anything inside the bar unless it's absolutely necessary. And 3, be nice.
All right, here we go. We're on episode 3. I'm here with Brian, Diego, and Jason. Today we're going to be doing Roadhouse. And Jason, why don't you give us a quick synopsis of this awesome movie?
Roadhouse. What a way to end the decade, but on a high note, with the 1989 classic. Now, some say this is a great movie. I'll say this is the greatest movie. And there's no better way, again, to usher in the 1990s than ending it with Patrick Swayze as a cooler, world-renowned for his skills. And, you know, I've got a really deep relationship with this movie. Wrote about it before on an old website. Talked a lot about it over the years. I've seen it more times than probably any other movie because it's on 24 hours a day. And I'm really excited to hear what everybody else is going to think about this movie. But this is a classic, and you know what? I think we should roll with it. Anybody want to start?
Well, first of all, I guess we'll have to get to Diego and get his excuse. I thought he actually saw it this time, so I was going to be like, so, you know, did Diego actually see the movie? He's here on time. He's not, you know, going back to watch the last 20 minutes of it. So what happened this week, Diego?
Well, I had a very busy day, and I had I had thought that I was going to be able to fill my day and still be able to watch the movie.
So you must have a bunch of kids or something keeping you busy, is that it?
I do not. I'm a single man, but I have seen the movie very recently. I saw it on a Sunday where I didn't have much going on, probably about 2 months ago. So I debated whether it was necessary for me to see the movie.
Did you see the edited version or the unedited version?
I saw it probably on TNT or something like that.
That's not the real version. That doesn't count.
Well, I saw Kelly Lynch. That's all I need to know.
You didn't see all of Kelly Lynch.
True, I did not. You
didn't see all of Patrick Swayze either. So I don't know which one you preferred, but you missed out on either.
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
Exactly.
I saw enough of Patrick Swayze.
Nice job, Matt.
First of all, you brought up the word cooler, and you didn't even explain what a cooler is.
To protect my investment, I've hired the best damn cooler in the business.
Well, Diego, why don't you tell us what a cooler is? Do you remember?
Well, I'm going to let JJ explain what the cooler is because I'm not so sure I understand. Other than it's a bouncer, but I think
no. The cooler is the professional doorman. He's the one in charge of all the bouncers. His specialty is taking chaos and making everything go back to party time. So he doesn't really get involved until it's time to get involved. He kind of controls everybody else. That's the job of the cooler.
Hence, he cools.
He cools the situation.
I see.
And, you know, we'll start at the very beginning of the movie. It breaks right into some friggin' stereotypical 1980s East Coast yuppie bar, right? Nice cars are pulling in, girls in tight dresses and high heels are going on. A band, actually, Tito and the Tarantulas are playing. If you ever watch any Robert Rodriguez movies, like From Dusk Till Dawn and stuff, these guys were in those movies. So it's pretty kick-ass bands playing, but that bar looks like every 80s yuppie bar in every movie that you're ever going to see.
Yeah, you know, when the band was playing, it kind of reminded me of the Blues Brothers.
Putting the band back together. We need you, man. We need your horn.
I really can't. We got everybody except
having that the chicken wire in front of the.
Well, we'll get to that. We'll get to that later. But by the beginning, we go to this nice, well-established, fancy bar club where people are throwing hundreds down on the table. Everybody's dressed up nice. Nobody has lost an eye or has any visible scars. So it's definitely a nice spot where Dalton is starting the movie from. He's obviously, you know, towards the apex of his career because he's working in such a nice establishment. Now, what we get to see though, once the gentleman who owns the Double Deuce gets out of his airport limo car and kind of walks through as a cutscene of everything that's sort of going on. You get to see lots of $100 bills on the table, people buying drinks. I think maybe a drug deal went bad between a man and a woman. A knife comes out. A dollar bill gets, or $100 bill actually gets sacrificed. Did you guys all see that part?
Yeah, right up at the beginning. Yep.
I think I must have been distracted by some other things that were flying out.
Well, I will note in that scene though, where I don't know if it's a drug deal gone bad or a prostitution deal gone bad, but somebody gets mad. The guy throws a $100 bill at the table with the woman. She puts out a switchblade, sticks the $100 bill, and the next thing you know, that dude's kicking the girl right in the crotch. Did you see that? Like a close up of a crotch kick. You don't see that in movies very often. And that's the point in the movie where I realized this was going to be something different and something special. If they shows a dude kicking a girl in the crotch, it's it's going to be a crazy ride.
When are we going to get to Brad Wesley is the question.
Well, we'll get to Brad Wesley.
I feel this movie is going to be the one where if we miss like 10 seconds of one scene, we're going to have to go back because Jason doesn't want to miss out on anything since this is his favorite movie of all time. So no, you missed like the 3-minute section right after he saw the knife in the boot.
Anyway, getting back to the movie, what did you guys think of that club at the beginning?
I love the montage shot at the very beginning. I mean, that was you had the gratuitous cleavage shot. You had all the money. It was pretty evident they were beating you over the head with the fact that bar was making a lot of money.
It's a high-end club.
Yeah, I thought the chick driving that Testarossa at the beginning was kind of funny. It was just the whole scene was just kind of funny. The whole way it was set up. But then when the fight breaks out, and the guy goes at the girl, but as soon as he gets a hold of the knife, the first thing he's thinking about is taking a shot at Dalton. I've been waiting to take a shot at you, Dalton.
And he punks that guy too.
What's that?
He punks that guy big time too, right? He goes, "I've been waiting to get try you, Dalton." And what happens? You guys remember?
Flesh wound.
It's just a flesh wound. Look, stop that! Chicken! Look, I'll have your leg.
Well, he gets cut in the shoulder, but he goes outside. So everybody goes outside, and that dude and his buddy are trying to egg on Dalton.
Yeah.
And they walk right. He and his bouncing team walks in the doors and shuts the doors, and those guys are left outside. Not one punch was thrown. So you know how badass as he is, because he diffused the whole entire situation, got sliced with a blade, and didn't even have to throw a punch.
Yeah, which I thought was kind of funny because that's Felonious, or I guess not Felonious. It could have been Felonious assault, but it was definitely
assault with a deadly weapon.
We'll just let that slide.
But in the 1980s, if you went to a bar, you had to expect something like that happen, and people weren't as eager to press charges as they are now. Right? I mean, we're much more of a litigious society.
How many lawyers would have been in the yuppie bar?
They would have been circling the parking lot like sharks. Absolutely. But that just sets the tone.
All the clients wouldn't be paying, like the guy who wants to, take a few kisses for $20 and doesn't have any money.
Well, that's later on too. That's later on too. I will say that the dude that owns the Double Deuce, he kind of stalked Dalton a little bit, and once Dalton went back into the office, dressing room, whatever the hell they had, and he was sewing himself up, which is completely badass. He had his own first aid kit. Sewing his own wound, but the dude walks in and stares at him with his shirt off, and Dalton kind of gives him the look like, "Yep, I've been here before. This creepy old silver fox dude's gonna make a pass at me." Did you guys notice that?
Yeah,
it was very.
You're talking about Frank
Tillman, yes, the owner of the Double Deuce.
So was that just the obligatory hero move in the 80s to stitch yourself up in a scene? Because I mean, how many 80s movies did we see where they were
Rambo 3?
All the Rambo movies.
They drew first blood.
All the Rambo. I think
all the Rambo movies
did at least once. And then, technically, I don't think Bruce Willis didn't sew himself up in chunks of glass out of his foot, and everybody. That was part of the. I think that was part of the charm of the '80s hero. The most popular heroes always had to get their ass kicked. Like you just had to be able to take a punch. It wasn't about always dishing it out.
Didn't the guy in Terminator sew himself up, or did he have?
No, that was the Terminator himself.
There cuts his eyeball out, but yeah.
No, I thought in Terminator 1, the guy has what? Did he do it himself, or did he have?
Who are you
Right.
talking about?
He had Linda Hamilton help him out whenever he was hurt. He didn't do it himself. He was a big sissy from the future.
Oh, that's right. Right.
Yeah, you're not a real man. Pain don't hurt.
Do you enjoy pain?
Pain don't hurt.
Most of my patients would disagree.
Pain don't hurt. Well, you do notice too that when
How did this happen?
he was offered the job
Natural causes.
out, he's like, listen, I came into money, and so what I'm going to do is spend all my money. I don't even know how did this guy come into money? Did somebody die? I mean, first off, he never really says how he come into money, right? Like he just came into money.
And I thought everybody in the town owed Brad Wesley all their money anyway.
The 10%.
How's he accruing all this money and Wesley isn't climbing up his butt with a microscope trying to find it?
I don't think word got back yet to the villain yet that this guy inherited money. He was spending all on Dalton, but so he tells Dalton, listen, I've got a shithole in Jasper, Missouri. So hey, there's a great well selling it. I want to fix it up. I want you to leave this nice yuppie place where people knife fight with each other, and come out here, right? Because he was in New York. He had a New York license plate on his car, and what did Dalton ask for? Do you guys remember what he asked for in terms of payment?
Yeah, $5,000 up front and $500 a night,
and all medical paid.
Yeah, all medical paid, and he wanted control.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure you could get me for that.
And the guy doesn't even bat an eye at it. Like,
nope.
Nice negotiating tactic.
I know. He's like, I've got your plane ticket right here, and then the classic line comes after that to show how badass yet sensitive Dalton is. What did he tell him?
He's afraid of flying because it's too dangerous.
Too dangerous. As he's stitching himself up from a knife wound.
I don't like you because you're dangerous.
That's right.
And
Right.
thus
The dichotomy of Dalton, right?
the genius of Roadhouse, right in the first 5 minutes, this is going to be one of those rare movies that's going to be put on a pedestal for all future generations to look out and judge their action movies forever and ever. Amen.
So I know we aren't doing our ratings until the end, but I'm guessing that you had at least a 4 or 5 out of 10 on this one.
We'll get to that later. So Dalton smartly decides to go to shithole Jasper, Missouri, right, to work at the Double Deuce. And
Can I interrupt you
yes,
for 1 second?
anytime.
$500 in 1989 per night. What do you think that is when you plug it into a CPI inflation calculator?
$823.47.
That's not a terrible guess. $962 a night.
Damn.
$962 a night.
What's $5,000?
That's a hell of a lot of money in Jasper, Missouri.
It's a hell of a lot of money anywhere. What's $5,000 in inflation?
All right, I'll tell you that right now. $5,000. Well, it would be 9,600 and whatever, right? Because it's just by a factor of 10.
That's not a bad sign-on bonus. I mean, it's not great, but I'll take it.
$9,622.
And essentially $1,000 a night of cash money, right? He wasn't even putting them on a W-2. He was giving them cash.
I cannot explain to you how piss poor of a business person this guy is. I mean, he comes into money, and the first thing he does is to buy the biggest shithole in that entire town that's leaking money every night. And then he goes out all the way to New York to get the best cooler in the country, and he'll pay him whatever he wants. So, why not just buy a better place in a better town?
This is pre-internet. How does one go about finding a world-famous bouncer, or even know the fact there's a world-famous cooler anywhere to begin with?
Guys, the fucking internet's not working! Let's watch the TV!
Is there a competition on ESPN every year at this time when they're scrounging for stuff? It's like bar bouncer, bar cooler Olympics. They get a sash when you win, and you kind of walk around. You're Mr. Cooler for the year, or what?
I don't know, but he knew. Not only did he know Dalton, but he knew he knew Sam Elliott's character as well. Yeah, and
because he asked him, "I hear you're the best," and he said, "Wade Garrett's the best. Wade's getting old."
Yeah,
you're right about that.
He knew, but so if you know that much about the industry, buy a bar in Florida somewhere, or, get the hell out of Jasper, Missouri.
I'm gonna
'Cause
say
that
I'm
place
guessing
was
Jasper. You go ahead.
I just said that place was a dump.
It is a dump. It's a little white trash like country heaven. Which if you're into that, that's fine. But if you're trying to invest money in a lucrative business, a club, that's not the place where you want to be. I'm guessing. Although by the end of the movie, it was pretty hopping, though. And they had neon everywhere, typical 1980s. Nice, respectable clientele coming in lined up out there, which I don't know where they shipped them from, but those definitely weren't Jasper residents. Oh, jeez. All right, so who wants else to cover some of this stuff? I'm talking too much, John. I want your guys' perspective on this. Again, I've spent a lot of time over the years writing and discussing about this movie.
Which part was it where they were saying that this toilet's worse than the one in Dayton?
Dayton. That's the very beginning when he goes to see Jeff Healey.
The first time that he walks into the Double Deuce, and he recognizes the guy at the musician, and he goes up and he laments just how big of a hellhole it is, and that it's just a little bit worse than
one in Dayton.
Shithole that they were in Dayton.
So we've all lived in Dayton in different points of our lives.
I haven't been in Jasper yet, but
where do you think that was in Dayton? Where do you think this place
I
was
can
in
tell
Dayton?
you exactly where it was. It's probably
right by Chicken Louie's.
It's over on Dixie, I guarantee it.
Belmont?
Yeah. It was the KC Lounge out in Riverside.
Well, too, when you hear that, aren't you guys in? Now you're invested in the movie. Like they talked about Dayton, Ohio, and how this is worse than the place.
I'd forgotten that line. I had to rewind it 3 times just to make sure I heard it right, and then I went on IMDb and just to confirm that I heard it right. That is pretty crazy.
Did they list that as one of the quotes?
Yeah, they listed this part, and then there's another. I found this weird article that had 9 movies where Dayton shows up in random places. It was so I wasted a half hour reading this article.
Really?
But it was cool, to hear that line. It was interesting.
How despicable the Double Deuce clientele when you got the bar band leader sitting there playing guitar. And they throw beer bottles at him. The dude can't see, and they're chucking beer bottles at him. I mean, that's pretty shitty. That's pretty cheap, right?
That's a whole different level of wrong.
Right. I mean, that takes the Blues Brothers scene, and it blows past that. They're throwing beer bottles at a blind dude. And this guy wants to invest his inheritance or whatever, drug money or whatever the hell he has, into fixing this stupid thing up. Enough to pay a guy $1,000 a night, right, to do so. Pretty stupid.
What did you guys think of the WWF wrestler?
Oh, dude.
Did you notice that?
Yes. Do you guys know who that is?
Terry Funk.
Terry Funk. And actually, so that movie is full of a lot of sort of famous people, niche things. The bartender who gets fired for skimming from the till, that's a guy named John Doe. He's a famous punk artist. He played in a band called X, some other stuff. He's very well known from the punk, indie 70s and 80s music scene.
That's wild. I kept thinking every time I saw him I don't know why, but I kept thinking of Bill Paxton. He just had the same kind of face and
he's more of a rat like Bill Paxton, more ratty, a little bit more inbred version of Bill Paxton. You're right. Bill Paxton's character from True Lies when he's the used car salesman.
Yeah, exactly. Right? The smarmy, yeah.
That dude.
It's pretty cool. It is cool though how they, it doesn't take. It's not like this is some sophisticated film, but it's cool that when he walks in, it clearly demonstrates that he's observant and he picks up on all of it. So in the first night, he's got the drug deal going on between the server and the other chick in the bar, and the bartender stealing money, and the guy is too busy trying to hit on women than to do his job. And so he clearly sees just
underage
how bad
women.
It is. Yeah.
Underage women.
Yeah, he definitely sees in it. There's that one little scene. He doesn't really say anything. He just the look on his face tells you, Jesus, what did I get myself into?
Well, he did make Frank Tillman say that he's in charge and whatever he says go. Remember that. So he's packing all this stuff away, making mental notes for later.
And it doesn't take long before he has the come to Jesus meeting with the staff and lays it all out there and lets everybody go. And And
well, not everybody, about half the people.
Yeah, I'm surprised that no one tried to start shit with them in there when they were getting fired.
Well, your buddy Terry Funk says you're a dead man.
Yep.
You're a dead man.
And then John Doe as well too, since he's the nephew of the villain, Brad Wesley. He says, "Don't you know, whatever's going." And again, there's all the threats, and lo and behold, those guys become the henchmen for the lead villain later on in the movie.
And we kind of skipped one part that I did like a lot. That when Dalton leaves New York, he gives his car to whether it's a homeless guy or whatever, just a guy sitting on the street, who is also in Action
Weird
Jackson.
Science. And Weird Science.
Yeah, and Weird Science. But anyway, he gives he everywhere he goes, he just buys some beater car because he knows it's going to get screwed with. So he goes, buys cash in the town and buys a couple of extra spare tires and expects his stuff to get trashed. So he puts his good stuff in storage and leaves his stuff out there to get jacked with.
Gets a bunch of old tires in his trunk because he knows he's going to be getting his tires slashed every night. Very smart, dude. This is how you get to be a world-renowned cooler, because you've got the thought, you're thinking ahead, you're planning, you know what's going to go down, you know how everything's going to turn out, and that's why he's the best.
Try to be best, cause you're only a man, and a man's got to learn to take it. Try to believe, though the going gets rough, that you gotta hang tough to
even though he's not that big.
No.
I like.
The whole line is every time to him is, "I thought you'd be bigger," right? All the time.
But yeah, so what's his first line when he lays out his his rules? Once he lets the other people go, what's the very first one?
Be nice.
No, it's never underestimate.
Underestimate anybody. Expect the unexpected.
Yeah, and so his line is basically it speaks to himself as well. When they because he's underestimated constantly and has been his whole career, so that's pretty prophetic.
Well, you're catching on a very key point here. The dude's got a philosophy degree from NYU, right? They talk about that later when he's at the emergency room. Did you catch all that?
Yeah.
Doc's going through the files. He's like, "You've got a philosophy from NYU. What did you study?" Do you guys remember what he said?
Yeah,
Man's search for faith.
And shit like that.
And shit like that.
That was the best part about that.
So, career advice anybody out there: if you get a degree in philosophy, you better brush up on your hand-to-hand combat skills, because there's no jobs. You're going to have to be a bouncer or a cooler, I think.
He was definitely the sort of almost the embodiment of that philosopher warrior, concept, and there was definitely I don't know if it was intentional or not with the wardrobe choices, but he had that like
billowy women's slacks look.
It was like the MC Hammer pants going on.
Wearing a gi tucked into your tight jeans like the whole second half of the movie.
Everything's all satiny. He's wearing like a blouse and women's slacks the whole movie.
Yeah, you can say what you want, whether it's great cinema or whatever, but I don't know if there's a better movie with mullets than an 80s hair than that movie.
Oh,
good Lord, there's gorgeous mullets in that thing.
There were three types of hair: feathered, mulleted, and mulleted feathered hair. Right? That was everybody. Even the women. Even the women had that. Kind
Kelly
of
Lynch's hair when she first
the women you
bar.
Kelly Lynch's hair was was like the hood of a cobra. It was like a hood. And she had Sally Jesse Raphael glasses too, like big red, like oversized novelty glasses that Sally Jesse Raphael had.
She still looked amazing.
She did, but it was like some of the most 80s hair and glasses ever. And then when she came to the club the first time to see him, after they made a nice little meet cute when he was getting stapled up from getting knife wounds. I think she was wearing a picnic table.
Yeah, it was a picnic table dress.
It was like red and white checkered. It was like somebody took like the tablecloth off a picnic table and made it into a dress, and then she had the cobra hood hair going.
I've got a few shirts like that right now, so don't judge. Don't make fun.
And you should be judged for that too.
And one of the other things when we were talking about what he was saying to them, his 3 rules, I thought the other funny thing about that was always being nice to the other people is a really good way to mess with people, to piss them off even more. I know he's trying to act like he's just being professional, but it really pisses people
Yep.
off more when you don't
Oh, yeah.
show the
Be
people
nice
upset.
until it's time not to be nice, right?
I want you to be nice until it's time to not be nice.
So yeah, you're right. That's the whole mind game.
Yeah, like calling
there
someone a
that-
cocksucker isn't personal? No.
No. It's two nouns combined to elicit a prescribed response.
All those other dudes like try and fight first too. And when Dalton took control the first night for real, that first night, there's the guy had his girl dancing up on the table, and the one dude looks at him. Dalton gives him the nod. The guy walks over and tries to talk nice to him, pushes him back. He looks back at Dalton. Dalton gives him the nod again. He walks over and then ends up getting punched in the face. So these guys are like living that rule of like be nice, right? Because the guy's trying. Because a night before he was swinging his fists and kicking at people, probably punting girls in the crotch again.
Well, that is there is something to that. Whenever you're in a situation like that, that people are trying to elicit a response from you, and if you give them the opposite response, it's either going to cool the situation down or it's going to make them even more mad. So either way, but it gets them off their game.
Don't make me angry. You wouldn't like me when I'm angry.
So
yeah, get some leg up on somebody.
I think that's going to piss people off more often than not.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we've got two rules so far, right? Expect the unexpected. Always be prepared. Be nice until it's time not to be nice. What's the third one?
Take it outside.
Take it outside. When all else fails, take it outside. And really, those are three rules.
To the door.
Well, three rules we can all live our life by, really, in any situation you come to think of it. Not just bar cooling, but anything, right? Fighting with your wife, expect the unexpected. Be nice until it's time not to be nice, and take it outside. Always good.
Get away from where there can be collateral damage.
Exactly.
It's really the big part of it. I mean, it was really cool. The philosopher warrior code was cool. The other part that was cool in that very first scene, obviously, that becomes a bigger part in the story is Brad Wesley's. You can't call her a girlfriend, whatever. His little pet.
His pet.
Julie Michaels, I think was her name, the actress, who comes on to Dalton right out of the gate, and basically any time that the two are in the same room, she's coming on to him throughout the movie.
Well, of course.
Well, yeah, who wouldn't?
A 5'6" guy in women's clothing, any girl's going to be attracted to that, right? With a mullet.
The other thing that's funny about her is she actually ended up as she was a stunt woman.
Stunt woman first, yep.
Yeah, it was really pretty interesting. I didn't know that about her.
She doesn't look like a stunt woman at all.
It's not.
No, and so Brad Wesley though, like the main villain. Anybody want to give a take on Brad Wesley? Like, what's his scheme? Like, why Jasper? Why doing what he's doing?
Well,
Is Diego still
the
with us?
big fish in a small town. I mean, there's no one else there.
He's running the Jasper Improvement Society, where every business donates 10%, right?
Yeah.
So here's what's always funny to me about stereotypes in movies. I can't even count how many movies the real estate developer is the bad guy.
Yeah.
But wait a minute, is he really a real estate developer? He doesn't really develop. He gets businesses in there.
He brought JCPenney there.
JCPenney.
They wouldn't come to Jasper without him.
7-Eleven, Photo Mart, and the JCPenney.
That's right.
I think that's right. I think he was a real estate developer.
Yeah, he came back when he was in Chicago, or that's where he was from, and he ended up there because it was easy.
He was
picking.
a Korean War vet.
Yeah. So.
But why Jasper? Why Jasper?
What
would that look like?
Explain it? Did they explain what the connection was? What did he say? He came back, or he came there? I can't remember.
He ended there after the Korean War. He's from Chicago, Main Streets of Chicago, and why? Listen, the Korean War ended in what, 1950? What, Brian? You're the good history guy. What year did that end?
I want to say it was like 58, but I could be off on that.
58 sounds right to me. So let's say he gets to Jasper. Just give him the benefit of the doubt. In the early 1960s, what the hell could it look like 25, 26 years prior to like 1989? How it looked like? There was nothing there. Why go there? If you're going to do a scheme where you're going to take money from businesses and stuff, why Jasper?
Well, because there wouldn't have been other competition trying to do the same thing. So
yes, but there wouldn't have been other businesses.
He brought him there. So
he brought him there so he could steal money.
Guys,
Yeah.
Korean War in 1953.
I'm going to say that the people back in the 80s, JCPenney's was super hot. So I'm going to say if you tried to
I was
skim from
afraid to Google that
JCPenney's,
because I thought maybe it was my pop up that we heard earlier.
fix your washing machine with one figure.
It's with
No,
just
but
one
I'm
thing.
saying like
It's
if you
three.
try to
Wow.
pull that,
Okay. Wow. It was only
if you
3 years.
if you guys try to
53
pull
years.
that crap on JCPenney's in the 1980s with all the power that they had, because I know my mom shopped there all the time, like she loved JCPenney's, they would have probably not sent people over to Jasper, Missouri to take care of Brad Wesley himself.
Well, yeah.
You know?
I don't think Brad Wesley would have been as successful as he was in real life.
So we know Brad Wesley is a villain right off the bat, right? Because the first two times we see him, what are the two things that he's doing? Two separate scenes.
Well, the one he's driving like a total jackass, and the
other one, the helicopter.
Run! Go! Get to the chopper!
Yes. So the helicopter, he's flying over the farm where our hero Dalton is staying, which happens to be right across the moat from. And I say moat. Is it a creek, a river, or a moat from Brad Wesley's house and the horse farm? He's flying over in his helicopter, scaring horses because only an asshole does something like that, right? Scares horses. And two, Brian said it. He was swaying. He was swerving in the middle of the road for no reason. And
the thing that got me about the horse thing with the helicopter was, I started thinking, well, maybe he's trying to get the farmer off his land so he can build houses over there or something. Like it was obvious that he was doing it with intent to mess with, because he didn't know who Dalton even really was at that point. He's just jacking with the guy who owns the horse farm across from his, $1 million house. So
they were just setting the tone that he was an asshole because he had no reason to do that other than the fact that he liked to scare horses. That's what it was. So he's a bad dude.
I don't think he was necessarily being bad, except that he didn't invite him over to have the police party to make it girl.
He was laughing when he scared the horses. He was grinning and laughing at him. He's a bad dude. You don't fly over horses with a helicopter scare unless you're an asshole. Proven. And then he was swerving in the street. So we had everything we needed to know about that guy, right? That he's just a plain out bad dude. And he was going to bother Dalton and bother the dude that owned the Double Deuce for some. I don't know why he had a hard on for the Double Deuce and Dalton so bad either. Does anybody know why? I mean, make any sense?
Well, I mean, obviously, he was somebody who was defying him, right?
The only person.
Right.
Was he the beacon of hope all the other business owners saw that they could use that as a symbol of strength?
If you use the end as an example, it's clear he was the beacon of hope. In the end, when they came and saved him by killing Wesley themselves, that was them saying, "Look, you gave us the
strength
willingness
to stand up for
fight."
ourselves.
Yeah. Seriously, you gave us hope.
And if he stands up, then all the other people are going to stop paying him this 10%. And
right.
It's not going to look that well.
Organized borderline murder and then cover up is what it.
Well, in that town, there's clearly no law, so
exactly.
I don't think
Good point.
Going to question it.
There's buildings on fire, explosions, stabbings, shootings, monster trucks running through car dealerships in the middle of the day. There is not one police officer in that movie until the last 90 seconds.
Yeah. Think about how many businesses were messed with by Wesley before the police decided to intervene.
See, I'm surprised they would ever intervene because I'm surprised he wouldn't own the police.
Well,
maybe he did own them. Maybe that's why they never showed up.
Yeah, and there was a line in it.
I
don't remember what they said. Yeah, they did. They alluded to it, and I can't remember what scene it was, whether it was with... maybe it was when Dalton was talking to Red about the shakedown. There was a comment about it somewhere, and they made mention that the sheriff was basically on his payroll. So that's not necessarily surprising, but still, the fire department responds pretty darn quick in that town, but the cops sure as heck don't.
The firemen are on the payroll. Hey, you mentioned Red, though. That's another, famous dude. Do you guys know who that Red guy is?
Anyone? The Great Depression. Past the... Anyone?
He was a member of Elvis's entourage. He was actually one of the bodyguards for Colonel Parker, who was Elvis's manager. It's Red West.
Yeah, he's really
from the Memphis Mafia. Yeah. So again, you got WWF wrestler, you've got a famous indie punk dude, and then you've got a guy of Elvis's entourage all in that movie.
You got
That's amazing.
Jeff Healy.
He's the guy who had the auto parts store.
Jeff Healy. Yeah, Red was the guy who owned the
was blind musician. Really was blind. So.
And he actually had a couple moderate hits in the '80s as well too. So
hey, so we did Predator last week. What's the common link between? Speaking of Jeff Healy and his band, what's the common link between the two movies?
Well, they actually wanted Patrick Swayze to be the star in Predator 2, but he had too many injuries from filming Roadhouse to take that, so they gave it to Danny Glover.
Well, no, this is much more. It's actually something that was in both movies.
But hold on. You said what's the common thread? Two WWF wrestlers right there.
Well, that too, but it had to do with Jeff Healy. What was the song? What song is in both movies?
The song is in both movies. It had to do with Jeff Healy.
Long tall Sally, she's built sweet. She got everything the bucket needs. Oh, baby.
No, he plays cover songs.
He's playing He plays Long Tall Sally.
Long Tall Sally. Yeah. There you go.
In the one scene, and obviously that's the iconic song that's playing in the helicopter in Predator.
That's right. Good call on that one. I never picked up on that one. That's why we have you here on this
really
thing.
Good covers. He does there's some really good music in that movie. I mean,
Roadhouse does have a great soundtrack.
Yeah, I mean, Otis Redding a little later. Dude, that's Otis, my man. That's that's really good songs.
The Otis Redding thing is funny. So that's the scene where Doc / Kelly Lynch comes back to his barn apartment, and it's a barn apartment.
Yeah.
Like it's a barn apartment.
I bet that place smelled fantastic.
Well, listen, you're in Missouri in the summertime with no air conditioning. It's hot as shit, and there's bugs everywhere. Not a great place to bring your doctor girlfriend back. Maybe go to her place because it's probably a lot nicer.
With the windows wide open and 50 horses living down below you.
Well, the windows have to be wide open so Brad Wesley can see him get even angrier at Dalton since he's got a crush on Doc, right? But anyways, he brings her back to this house and he's like, "Do you want some music?" She's like, "Sure." And he turns it on like crazy, like rock music. And then the next channel is that Otis Redding song was like the perfect like 80s like soundtrack for them to get a little frisky with, right?
And here's what's so unrealistic about that. Not only is it like the perfect "Let's Get It On" song, but it's right at the beginning of the song. Like, how many times have you actually flipped through the radio and caught the perfect song, and it's not like you caught it right at the end?
Exactly.
Like, damn it! That would have been realistic.
But as soon as that song came on, it was like on, right? Like there was like nothing. She's ready to go, and then you see this is a great movie. Don't get me wrong, but probably one of the most awkward scenes in the whole entire movie. I just didn't buy that love scene. There was no chemistry between them. It was awkward. Who picks a girl up and throws her against the wall immediately?
So in a movie where we have like a guy who's 5'2" and the cooler, that's the scene that you're going to complain about?
That is
First
the scene.
Of all, hey, come on, Swayze's not 5'2".
He's 5'6".
No.
Or 5'7", something like that. But no, I mean, listen, Kelly Lynch looked disgusted with him. Like it just wasn't, and I understand that. It just wasn't a good scene. Now you got to see, Kelly Lynch parts. Great. That's the positive. But the whole scene itself was pretty awkward and creepy. I think he probably would have preferred his old buddy Wade Garrett more than Kelly Lynch in that scene. I think they had better sexual chemistry than Patrick Swayze and Kelly Lynch. Seriously, did you see the way he lights up every time that Wade Garrett would show up? Way more than when Doc was around. In fact, he let Wade dance with Doc and didn't even get mad about it. I think he was jealous because Wade was dancing, not his girlfriend.
That was one of my favorite. Actually, that might have been my favorite part. My favorite scene in the whole movie is when Garrett comes back and they get in the car and they're going and all Dalton has to say is, "I just want you to meet somebody," and just the look on his face, like, "Oh God, what have you gotten into? Who's the girl?" And then as soon as he sees her, he goes, "I knew it!" Like, son of a bitch, I knew it, you dumbass. It knowing his backstory, that you get it in bits and pieces about what happened in Memphis, and that it was.
That's where he ripped the guy's throat out the first time. Yeah. Killed a man in Memphis.
That's right. But they don't tell you what the backstory was until he explains that it was over a woman again. So,
By the way, Swayze was 5'10", just so you guys know.
what are you looking on? IMDb? Take that down at least 2 inches if you're looking on IMDb. They lie all the time about that.
He's about 5'8", 155.
I don't know. The site I'm seeing says 5'10".
Did they say Daniel Craig's 5'10"? He's
no.
not.
Yeah, it's like the Ohio State, the preview schedule where they're talking about how tall everybody is, and they're all at least 6 to 8 inches. And
I'm going to defend Swayze because when I say I'm 5'8", people laugh, and I'm 5'8". I am legitimately 5'8".
They're not laughing because you're saying you're 5'8". They're laughing because you're short.
I'm going to defend Swayze. I believe he's 5'10".
All right. Well, you can believe that all you want. I'm going to believe that I didn't believe the chemistry between Kelly Lynch and Dalton. It was much better between Samuel. Although, to Samuel L.'s credit, the dude is like manly as hell, so he probably has great chemistry with everybody. Just saying.
Can I just say that really, through the whole movie, her character really bothered me. Like, she bugged me just all the way around.
Fashion choices, hairstyles?
All of it. And the fact that, like, at the end, I mean, if we're going to be jumping around a little bit, that she can't decide if she's horrified by or she's totally fine with what he does and kind of fascinated by it. But when he actually kills someone in self-defense, she freaks out like he's some murderer and can't get away from him fast enough. But then the next day, when he does the exact same thing, everything's cool again. Like, she is she might be bipolar. I don't know.
That's typical women.
She's definitely, I don't know. She just bugged the crap out of me in that movie.
Well,
that's typical for women. They don't like violence, and they have to deal with violence.
She liked violence, so they met at the emergency room.
She watched him fight with joy in her eye because the whole crowd was around. The first time she shows up at the bar in her picnic dress.
Oh, he's dragged the dude out by the foot.
Yeah, he kicks the crap out of the dude. There's a group fight. He kicks the crap out of him, and she's like, "That's my man."
Yeah,
she's turned on by him, but she still abhors violence. She's conflicted.
In that scene, Doc is looking like Dalton looks at Wade Garrett the whole movie. Like that with a big puppy dog love in their eyes.
Are you going to keep on this Doc?
Yes.
Wait. You're saying Doc was looking at Wade Garrett, or
no,
are you saying
Dalton was looking at Wade Garrett?
Oh yeah, I was going to say you're going to keep on this gay conspiracy theory.
It's an 80s action movie, so there has to be homoerotic undertones to it, and this is where it is, right here. The Wade Garrett Dalton relationship. That's where it is. You have your Rocky movies, you have Top Gun, you've got any of those 80s action movies. They all have
one Rocky movie.
No, they all Rocky one does.
The beach running with the long socks and the Apollo, I think, was the main one.
Yeah. But anyway, so we'll get back to Doc. Like you hit on a really good point. Like how she's trying to up and down about the whole thing. She meets him in the emergency room, tending to his knife wound, looking at his 18-inch thick medical records that he happens to just carry along with him. And she's like, "Yeah, 2 bullet holes, and this and that." And she's like, And she called him out. She's like, "You must not be that good, right?" Because it's true, right? He's that beat up. How good is he really? But she's intrigued at the same time. And then she asked him if he wants a local anesthetic while she staples his knife wound, and what does he say?
Pain don't hurt.
Pain don't hurt.
But actually, the line that gets her and changes, I think, her tune is when she asks, "Do you ever win a fight?" And he says, "Nobody ever wins.
Nobody ever wins a fight."
And
she's like, swoon. Then her Cobra hood shoots back, and now she's in hunting mode.
I think he was like he sees her like she sees him like a 5-star recruit who went to Michigan who had the potential, but then didn't have the proper coaching, so that's why he has all these injuries.
She sees him from a different part of the world that she's used to.
Can we hire your high school coach to come on our staff? That's the only way they're getting those kind of recruits. Anyway, well, we've been at this an hour, guys. We probably want to at least speed up to when the action starts in earnest, right?
Well, how long does it take for actually Dalton to get in a fight and punch anybody?
Well, actually, I thought the best part about it was the beginning, before he got any of the action going. He was just watching everybody and just taking mental notes of all the shady stuff that was going on and all the fighting and not doing anything, and just how long they were going to show that before he actually got involved and started kicking ass.
Can I say the one part though, because he did that a lot. He would observe obviously before he would jump into things, and you would expect that from somebody who's been a seasoned veteran of those kind of situations. But the one that bothered me was like, every scene they're in the bar, there's a freaking bar fight, every single one of them, and
that's why he gets $1,000 a night.
Yeah, but the one that got me was the last. It was like the last big one where Garrett,
the bad Dalton clone henchman.
Yeah, the bad henchman. Who is it? Jimmy.
Jim.
So when Jimmy shows up and grabs
with the mullet,
he comes down with a pool cue and walks out on the dance floor, clears the dance floor out, and then wants to fight his bouncers with a freaking pool cue. And he sends his guys in there with no weapon.
He sends his guys to the meat grinder.
Oh yeah, it didn't. And then he waits for Wade Garrett to get his ass kicked before he jumps in there.
Wade Garrett starts holding his own really well. Like he does a pretty good job. Then once Jimmy starts getting the upper hand, that's when Dalton catches his leg and flips him, and those two guys stare deeply in each other's eyes. And
I will say, there must be the dance training or something. I mean, obviously Patrick Swayze was a pretty good athlete. There's no doubt about that.
Well, he was cut up in that movie. It's all that Tai Chi.
Tai Chi stuff that you could. He was actually plausible as a.
He's
as
believable,
artist, right?
He was believable throwing a punch. Yes.
And his fight scenes weren't bad. They weren't choreographed that badly. But from the beginning, that Sam Elliott shows up to save him from getting the ass beaten he's getting on the dock, and then that fight scene with Jimmy. I did not buy Sam Elliott as a fighter one bit in that movie.
You shut your dirty whore mouth.
You've got a dirty, whorish mouth. That's what you have.
You shut it now.
What did you say?
Because Sam Elliott was an old school cooler. Like he fought like old school street.
Yeah.
That was his style.
I think if Jason and Brian were in the same room right now, I think we have some.
Sam Elliott is a man.
Come after me! I'm a man! I'm 40! I'm not a kid!
I expected him to be like one of those old-timey pugilists, with the handlebar. Put him up.
That's pretty much what he was. Sam Elliott is a man. He's what we should all aspire to be. His mustache is more manly than any of us could ever hope to be in our entire life.
He's not a manly guy. I'm just saying his fight scenes look like shit.
He didn't do that old newfangled karate. He just grabbed people and punched them in the face.
Nope, you can't do that. He's a live bear. He will literally rip your face off. Hey! You're making me look stupid.
That's his style.
Brian, you got to watch your leg next time Jason tries to sweep it.
Sweep the leg.
That's right.
You just don't like that old school brawling, and that's what he was. And Jimmy was a martial artist, and Patrick Swayze was a martial artist. I will say though that his dance training was clearly evident in one sequence of events when Wesley blows up. What's his face? Emmett's house that he's staying in, right?
Right.
So they hear the motorcycle in the distance. Patrick Swayze comes running out of his barn apartment, jumps, does like a dance ballet move, runs down the motorcycle on barefoot, mind you, then goes flying through the air. They do a nice close-up of that, and he clotheslines the guy off the motorcycle. That's where all the dance training came out, right there. That's the dance.
There's one too where there's a scene in the middle of that fight at the end with Jimmy where he jumps up and he does like this double kick move, and then
Jean-Claude Van Damme.
He ends up coming down and kicking him it was sort of like a half. He didn't get to finish the move. He gets like a half kick into the ribs.
Like knees him in the ribs. Yes. Yeah. That's the third dance move. So
there's another one. There's another one where he does this pirouette back. It's like a double spinning back kick. Some of it was over the top, but I did like. I have seen. I have remarked I like when they make the fight scenes a little more plausible.
Yes.
And they do a lot of good counters, and like even when he's hurt with like one arm, he'll counter it and strike with the same hand. And there's some realistic stuff when he fights.
Well,
it's not that we're gonna trade punches like a Rocky movie kind of thing.
Well, Wade Garrett's the same way. You see Wade Garrett take a punch, he'll lift up his leg, he'll turn his shoulder in, and you're bashing him. You watch him; he's the most realistic, actually probably bar brawling out of anybody too.
The best fight scene in the whole thing was Swayze fighting fighting Brad Wesley's henchman outside by the water.
Jimmy, yeah, that's when he did all the dance moves. That was outside of the bar, so he's doing dance moves there. He totally blew his cred.
Far the best fight.
It was extended, and it was good because he chased a dude down on foot on a motorcycle, barefoot, and knocked him off. I think that's awesome.
The one thing that struck me about that one was just in the movie how far from the end that fight was, because I thought that was more like the I knew it happened before the whole shootout scene and all that, but I thought that it was more like kind of bang bang, but it's actually almost like the night before.
3/4 of the way through the movie, sure. That set up the final conflict at the with Brad Wesley at the end, right? Because so he killed Jimmy, right? Foreshadowing, ripped his throat out, much to Doc's dismay. She got pissed at him because he killed a guy who tried to shoot her, mind you. He pulled out a gun and shot at him, and she's mad. He ripped his throat out.
Yeah, exactly.
All right,
Wet blanket.
Go ahead.
One of the things I like to do on all the movies that we're looking at, what do you think was the least realistic scene from this movie?
The Bigfoot running through a car dealership in the middle of the day without any police or anybody else around.
But hold up, I actually put that in one of my notes. Was if you're gonna have a monster truck in your movie, you're obliged to run over some shit with it. So
yes, but what you shouldn't do is use that to spy on people in a parking lot because you're pretty damn obvious. I don't care where you park; they see you watching them.
Yeah, see, Dalton sees everything except for Bigfoot in the fucking parking lot.
Well, and everyone who stabs him because he's never paying attention to the guys with the knives, apparently.
Well, so anyway, so he kills Jimmy the henchman, and it makes Wesley go into a rage, right? So he basically calls Dalton at the Double Deuce the next day and it's like, listen, basically an eye for an eye. I've got to kill somebody, and I'm going to flip a coin. It's either Doc or Garrett, right?
That was the part that bothered me too, because they've already alluded to the fact that this guy has the hots for Doc. There's no way he's going to kill her. No way.
Well, he's so angry now that his henchman number one, his bad Dalton clone with the feathered mullet and the feather earring, is dead. He's crazy.
And the raptor claw necklace. What that was.
And now Jimmy didn't talk a lot in the movie, but he did have one famous great quote. You guys remember what that is?
I'm gonna
enlighten us.
I used to fuck guys like you in prison.
Yeah, I used to fuck guys like you in prison.
I totally missed that.
Now, why would you say that?
That was just over the top. That was awesome. I mean, it was awesome though, because it was like, wow.
I used to rape dudes in prison, so you don't scare me.
Yeah.
You guys remember Money Train, the movie Money Train?
Yeah.
Well, you remember how that guy was on trial? That was the guy who was on trial for murdering his wife.
Yep.
No.
Well, that guy says to Wesley Snipes and Woody Harrelson, or one or the other or both, I'm gonna fuck you dead. So apparently in 80s movies they like to talk about fucking other men.
Again, homoerotic undertones. There you go.
Yeah.
This movie is full of them. But this guy comes out and verbally says what all the nonverbal stuff had been prior to that, right? So he's a prison rapist. He deserves to have his throat ripped out.
What did Brian and Diego? What did you guys think was the most unbelievable thing about this movie?
What I think of what?
What did you think was the
I'll
most
tell you what my
unbelievable
real
thing?
most unbelievable thing is once you guys get done. It's not the monster truck.
Well, I think that any point in the movie where there's a stabbing or a brawl that ends up in near death.
So the whole movie.
There's no police that
Right.
come at any moment, I think is unrealistic.
I'm going with Diego. That's exactly my point. Is there's so much crap that happens, and there's never any police officers until the last 90 seconds. Of the
Because
movie.
even if the police are being paid off, they still come there and pretend.
Well, what I
This is to me is like watching, it's like sci-fi stuff that you have to suspend your disbelief, and that was fine. It's the cheesy, to me, there's the way they ended it, just that whole last scene where they're fighting in the room of death, and
let's get to that.
The polar bear pushed on
Hold
him.
that thought. Let's get to that. So Jimmy gets killed. Brad Wesley has to kill somebody. It's ultimately Wade Garrett. So that Dalton's going to be pissed because his mentor /
Lover.
lover. I don't think it was ever reciprocated, but like his mentor, somebody he looked up to, got killed, so he knows he's got to come back. So he sacrifices the BMW to trick these guys, right?
Do you still shed a tear every time you see that scene?
Yeah.
I'm betting you do.
Yes, I do. I get a little. It gets a little dusty in the room for me.
Misty.
So, one, he shoots his BMW into the air in front of the henchmen, who are all just mobbed up in front of the house, so they can shoot that. Then this is where Dalton becomes a ninja, right? He's like sneaking through the house, like undetected, and just like knifing people, right?
That's
like
the best part of it, though. And actually, this is one of the things from a filmmaking standpoint that I enjoyed the most about it was I love when you imply when the violence is implied, right? And so they flip the whole format, and instead of it's not the good guy sneaking into the house that you see, you're following the bad guy who's trying to find the good guy who's in the house taking people out. And I thought that was so cool. And then all of a sudden, of course, he pops up behind you like the boogeyman. But I love those when movies do that. That's one of my favorite things, when you you almost flip the script, and it becomes you're looking at it from the other guy, from the bad guy's perspective.
You know what? That's a good point. And I think that's actually where on the 3 new Batman movies that Nolan did, where they missed a boat, because the very first movie, on the scene in the docks where Batman first shows up, where he's like hanging upside down, like grabbing people, like scaring people, like Jason Voorhees in Friday the 13th, right? That's cool. They never really did ever show that angle in those movies again, and that's kind of like the whole thing what Batman was about too. Is like he's supposed to scare people, not just drive down the middle of them and start brawling, right? Mm-hmm. I think that's what you're getting at too. Is like Patrick Swayze turns out he's kind of like the guy who's the stalker and the killer, and you're kind of seeing the other guy going looking for him.
I thought that those movies was only about saying, "I'm Batman."
I'm Batman.
I'm Batman.
That was all I got from those movies.
I'm Batman.
And I need a tracheotomy.
But this was cool how they, then also he's taken out all the bad guys. He's gone through them through a combination of misdirection and so I'm assuming he killed all those guys as he was going in. They were all pretty much.
Well, the first guy they show by the back door is knocked out, like bloody nose. He's unconscious, and the shotgun's laying down by him. And that's when he goes inside and starts dealing with a couple other dudes, right?
Right. I just wondered, it's the stereotypical thing where you never see the good guy kill anybody where it wasn't self-defense, but they don't really show whether he just knocked people out, because that's what the good guys do in all those cheesy TV shows and movies. One punch from the good guy and the guy is knocked out, and he's out of the movie. He's no longer a threat.
You got knocked the fuck out, man! Give me my goddamn money.
He's not going to get up 2 seconds later and grab the gun again and come find you.
Well, he knifes that one dude, and then the John Doe comes from up above with a shotgun. He turns the guy around and uses him a human meat shield.
Right. He's the instrument of justice, because the guy he knifes was the guy who knifed his friend.
Wade Garrett. Then he takes that knife and throws it in the John Doe, who flips over the edge railing, and the classic action. Somebody's got to fall over a rail.
Right.
So what do you guys think Wade could have done a little bit better and not to die like a sister?
Not die.
Well, how did they? So they this whole time they know where Dalton is. They could have showed up at his house anytime.
Oh, he lives right across the street from the guy.
But they never do. But they find Wade Garrett wherever he's staying. He just comes into town. They find him, beat the crap out of him, send him back into the bar.
I think he was sleeping at the bar. I think he slept at the bar. I mean, he looked like he slept at the bar. Always greasy and like old ratty jeans.
I need a beer. Give me a Coors.
Well, before they knifed him, though, they did beat the crap out of him because he was leaning against the bar, and that's when he thought that Doc was going to be killed because Wade was still alive, although beaten up.
So they're in. So we're almost to the end now. We have the
final showdown.
The finale where Dalton is in the trophy room and
the animal, all the taxidermied animals and racks from animals, right?
And of course, you knew the fat guy wasn't going to be. No fat guy in any movie is ever a real threat. They're
They're like big man children, so you never kill them, right?
Right.
Tinker. His name is Tinker.
So Tinker escapes death, but has a polar bear land on him.
Well, Tinker was clearly scared of that room because you saw him like pee his pants when he walked into it. So he was a big, dumb, fat dude. He probably thought all those animals were still alive. So he didn't like being in that room to begin with. So it was a smart move by pushing the polar bear on top of him.
And then you love how the Brad Wesley, in all those movies, the bad guy is going to shoot the good guy. He's going to wing him in the arm. It reminded me so much of. It actually reminded me a ton of Beverly Hills Cop. The end of that one where Victor Maitland ends up shooting Axel Foley in the arm and winging him just before he dies. I mean, you just knew as soon as he's coming down the stairs, he's going to wing Dalton, and they'll have a little scrap. But he puts up a better fight than you would think for the old guy. But he's throwing African spears at the guy.
He's whipping him with the spear. He's throwing spears. He's whipping him. But first, when he confronts Dalton, when he knows he's down there, he's like, "You like my trophy room? The only thing that's missing is your
ass."
Homoeroticism again.
I don't want anything else. Not your head, not your face. I just want the ass on.
I want your ass up here. Jimmy used to fuck guys like you in prison.
Thing to say,
Isn't it? Just like I used to fuck guys like you in prison. Also weird. Like, doesn't need to be said. Again, this movie's crazy. It's insane. You got the elderly Brad Wesley fighting Dalton and whipping the shit out of him. An elderly dude is beating the world's best bar bouncer. I didn't like that. I thought that was a little unrealistic.
You don't want to mess up the terminology.
But then Dalton gets the upper hand. He's preparing to pull out his throat, right? And he doesn't do it.
Stupid conscience.
Then what happens? He turns his back. Wesley pulls a gun and is shot. And
because
who shoots him?
The entire town shows up exactly on cue.
Well, in a single file line with a shotgun. Each holding a shotgun. Takes turn blasting this guy until he's like hamburger, right? Until he goes flying through a glass coffee table. And again, it's an 80s movies. Somebody's got to fall over a rail, and somebody's got to go through a glass coffee table. So we hit both of those. We hit the quota. So the whole town lines up and kills this dude, right? The whole town shooting him. And I'm impressed he can stand and take somebody's shotgun blast to the chest at close range. Very impressive. Then the police finally show up at the end, and what happens?
Well, no, right before they show up, not only does the town agree, I mean, everyone takes a shot. I mean, this is almost like, the conspiracy to kill Caesar. Yeah, everybody has to bloody their knife so that they all are responsible for it, and including our really bad businessman who owns the Double Deuce, who comes back and ends up finishing him off. But my favorite part of that is when Red takes all the shotguns and goes off in some room and hides them.
So he's got 30 seconds before the cops show up. Where the hell could he have possibly hid those? And the best thing is
anywhere in the house, just not in that closet.
Well, the best thing is the cops show up. There's like a burning BMW in front of the house. There's dead bodies strewn all over the place. There's freaking Brad Wesley torn to shreds, laying through a coffee table, and they're looking at people like, "What happened here?" And everybody's like, "I don't know. What happened? I don't know. I didn't see anything." And the cops are like totally cool with that, right? They're like, "Well, all right, we've done our job. Everybody turn around and go home."
I don't think we can be too harsh on cops. They actually showed up this time, so kind of a little bit of slack.
They showed up at the point where half the town had either been burned down, run over with a monster truck, or killed off.
Well, didn't the cops kind of suggest that they were willing to look the other way because the guy that's been paying them off is finally killed?
They didn't. There was you would have to like read really hard between the lines. Like there's not enough time spent with the 30 seconds with the cops.
No, but I feel like there was looks given where they were suggesting that we were paid off by him, and now that he's dead, we don't have to protect him, so we're not going to arrest you.
So I'm not in the law enforcement or legal profession, but if you've got a house or like 15 people are dead, don't you like isn't there an investigation or some kind of release a report or something that has to go on?
Well,
you just don't like close the door and walk away, right? Like
but when there's like 6 eyewitnesses that all say that Brad Wesley started everything and that they were acting in self-defense, there's really not much that the police can do unless they have physical evidence that shows otherwise.
But wouldn't they at least talk to people?
GoPro video camera.
Wouldn't they at least talk to people, collect evidence, knives, guns, flaming BMWs. Like,
Well,
isn't there something to be done?
Well, apparently in Podunk Jasper they don't.
Okay.
Here's my problem with the notion of self-defense in that particular instance. He had a little, like, 22 or 25 caliber ankle pistol. I don't know what the shot capacity is of that gun, but he had 6 dudes with shotguns, and he clearly was the one that took all of these shots. I mean,
Wait,
Dalton had one in his shoulder, but that was it, and that was before those dudes showed up.
Is it self-defense if you send your BMW hurtling through the air at a mob of people and then sneak through the back door? Is that self-defense?
Start killing people.
Is that really self-defense?
That might not be, but actually, you know what is self-defense? Is the 3 guys who basically saved Dalton. That is self-defense because it's defense of others. So the fact that they were defending a guy who was being attacked by somebody else, they now had the legal right to step into the shoes of Dalton and defend Dalton with deadly force.
But again, Dalton snuck in the house and started killing people.
You got 6
No.
guys,
Right, but that
shotguns, and all they had to say was, "Hey, put the gun down." they just blasted him. They didn't say anything.
True, but the point as soon as someone has a gun, you don't really have the responsibility to tell someone to put the gun down. You can pretty much fire.
Right. Well, they did. They did. They clearly did.
Well, right. I think they're on solid legal ground when it comes to that.
Well, I thought that was a perfect opportunity in the movie, but it extends a little bit longer. We see the Double Deuce is very nice. It almost mimics that bar at the beginning of the movie from New York, where it's all neon-y and 80s hair and classy individuals are working there. And then we get one last gratuitous nudity shot in a movie that's full of gratuitous nudity. Like, 80s known for movies full of gratuitous nudity. This had over-the-top nudity, and it's Doc and Dalton swimming in a fishing hole or whatever. And if you look just close enough, you get a send-off of Kelly Lynch. And that's why you don't watch it on TNT, Diego. That's why you watch it on Netflix or buy the DVD like a real man.
So not only did he not watch it in the last 2 months, but he didn't even watch the correct version.
You know what? It's funny, when you guys mentioned Roadhouse, we were going to do Roadhouse, I contemplated not watching from the beginning because I was like, oh, I remembered. I just saw it. But then I said, you know what, I'll watch it. And then they just didn't happen. So I am going to turn over a new leaf, and I will say no matter when, no matter how recently I've watched a movie, I will watch it again before we do our podcast.
Yeah, you should.
You missed so much gratuitous nudity.
Not only that, I missed details. There's details that I can't remember from even 2 months ago.
So here's like the true test. I know Jason's seen this probably more than any other movie he's ever seen in his life. Do you remember what was written on the black telephone, rotary dial telephone at the beginning of the movie?
At the Double Deuce, the owner walks by outside the bathroom by the public telephone with a bunch of graffiti.
For a great Buick.
No. That was before that. For a great F-U-C-K.
Right.
So all the other people are dying on his bar floor, yet he's going to walk by and take that and change that word to a Buick. Really?
Right. Well, not only that, but there's a crap ton of other graffiti on there that's just as bad if you look at it closely enough.
I freeze-framed it. I paused it.
And then he takes a Sharpie that's not even the same color as the ink that was up on the wall and puts that on there, and then looks around like, did anybody see me do that?
I know.
It's the worst.
That might be the most unbelievable part of the movie, actually. I might take that back. That might be the most unbelievable.
It's so irritating. Let me just kick the shit out of it for doing that. Like, I don't understand.
I think it was to show, because it was still early in the movie, that the dude, that Tillman guy who owned the bar, was actually legitimately a decent dude. So you wanted Dalton to help him, because this guy's going to go by and, change that word to a Buick, because he's afraid somebody and their kids is going to see that at that place. So he doesn't want to see the kids to see that bad word.
You know what's funny is if Garrett wanted to, not Garrett, I'm sorry, Brad Wesley wanted to shut that place down. There were so many health code violations in that place, and he clearly owned all the liquor distribution. Probably knew who the health inspector would have been. I mean, he could have shut him down at any time. through legal.
You mean like in the food cooler where the bar bouncer is having sex with an underage girl on the food?
Yeah.
Is that wrong? Is that against health code? You're going to be my regular
More
Saturday
scenes
night.
that Diego has yet to see.
That's probably my favorite quote from the movie, too, is you're going to be my regular Saturday night thing. And Dalton busts in on him, stares at him for a couple seconds before going and clearing his throat. You know.
Yo, Steve. Your history.
But I'm on my break.
Stay on it.
Shit.
And the guy's like, but I was on my break. Lame. Dalton's such a buzzkill.
All right, don't waste any quotes yet. How we got to finish this up? Give our favorite quotes and then our ratings. So let's start out with our favorite.
No, we got to say what we're drinking, favorite quotes, and then the rating.
Well, actually, we're supposed to say what we're drinking before we started the whole thing, but I guess we're a little late. So what are we drinking?
I'm going to go last. Matt, you start.
So I'm drinking something different this week. I'm drinking some Beck's that I got at Costco, and I'm shooting for a sponsor.
I've noticed that now 3 weeks in a row, Costco.
How about you guys?
What's your favorite quote?
Oh, we're gonna do. Oh, I thought we were gonna do drinks first, and then we'll do some quotes.
No, bring it all home.
Bring it all home. Okay. Well, my favorite quote was at the very beginning. I'm getting off at 2, and I'd love to get you off about a half an hour after that.
That was great.
To the underage girls, no less.
Yeah, that was great.
Who showed their Sears credit card to get in because they didn't have ID.
How about you, Brian? What was your favorite?
Well, first off, I'm actually not drinking tonight. I'm recovering from drinking all day yesterday.
You have enough alcohol in your system that still counts.
I haven't done that in a long time. I paced myself well, but I was 12 hours of drinking and it took its toll.
Oh, that was one crazy party. I am hungover. Oh, tell me about it.
So I'm still polluted from yesterday, but there are two really good quotes. The one I'll give the one about when a man, it's Sam Elliott, who I just love. He's got so many iconic one-liners in his or quotes in his career, but I love that when a man sticks a gun in your face, you got two choices. Basically, die or kill the motherfucker.
Yeah.
And then, but my favorite quote of all is Red's. He says, "Does a hobby horse have a wooden dick?"
That's a good one too.
How about you, Diego? Do you remember any of the quotes from the movie on TNT?
What do you?
I do. Well, first, aren't we going to talk about what I was drinking? Shouldn't I be talking about what I was drinking?
Yeah, you're drinking as well.
Are you drinking? It's
What,
so good, he fell off the call.
Is that perfect or what? We finally get to him and he drops off the call.
I guess it's me then. I'm drinking Crown with maple on the rocks. I actually poured a nice tall one tonight, and I have sipped it this whole time, and it's been wonderful. My favorite quote, it's either you're going to be my regular Saturday night thing because I just find that to be hilarious. Or pain don't hurt. I mean, come on. Everybody's used that quote at some point in their life, haven't you?
Pain don't hurt.
Pain don't hurt.
Or I got married to an ugly woman that takes the energy right out of you.
That's awesome.
And she got married to an uglier guy.
Red's quotes are great in that. Man, that was a great line, too.
Yeah, he was pretty awesome. Is Diego back with us?
What happened? All right. So what I'm drinking is Glenlivet Scotch, 18 years aged. So I'm drinking some good stuff tonight. I'm over at my parents' house, and I stole their fancy liquor.
Welcome back to high school, Diego.
I know. I feel like I'm 16 again.
Aged 18 years, 30 years younger than Brian likes his women.
So for my favorite quote, I'm going to go with Red. Don't ever marry an ugly woman. She'll suck the life right out of you.
There we go. Brian just said that's hilarious.
How perfect is that? I just
Did Brian just say that?
Right before he
Wait, Brian just stole my quote?
No, you stole his quote.
Whoa.
right when you cut out.
All right.
How about Wade then? That gal's got entirely too many brains to have an ass like that.
That's a good one
There we
too.
go.
That's
You know,
a good
that,
one
I
too.
think the same thing happened last week when I gave one of my quotes. It wasn't my final quote, but it was just a quote I said I liked early on when Diego was finishing Predator. And then that was his quote again at the end. That's 2 weeks in a row.
Yeah, well done.
Yes.
He's a quote cribber.
Yes.
All right,
What
Matt.
happened? How did I get off? What happened? How did I get off the call?
I don't know. Tell your parents to get better internet, I guess. All right, Matt. Final review on the movie, including your rating.
Well, I want you guys to go first because I'm still figuring out what I'm going to call it here. So how about we start with Brian?
Oh, okay. Well, this one it's obviously a classic. You know, I don't know that it's. If you had to pick one Patrick Swayze movie, I don't know that Dirty Dancing would probably be the one that's most people would say is in the pantheon of greatest '80s movies. But this one's good. I mean, I don't know that it's. For me, it's not an all-timer, but it was good. It was fun to watch it again. So I give it a solid 7 mullets out of 10.
Mullets. All right, Diego.
Well, again, like last week, I'm going to say it's a very entertaining movie. There's a lot to like, but there are some unrealistic moments. And definitely, you know, it has a lot of action, but it's not a perfect script by any means.
This is worse than the time the raccoon got in the copier.
It's very distracting.
Nice. All right,
So,
Pless.
I liked it.
Are you ready for your rating?
Yeah. Okay. I'm a little hesitant to hand out my rating because Jason might come hunt me down if I don't have it rated appropriately. But I think I'm going to give it 6.8 stabs from natural causes.
That's what natural causes.
Wow,
Because,
you went harsh.
I think it's a solid movie, but it was it was probably not quite in my it wasn't one of the movies that I've watched a million times like you did, so it wasn't. Maybe it was a little bit before my time by a few years. I don't know.
So why weight it low? Did you like the movie or not? That's just because it wasn't before your time.
It's just like music too. Like you have everyone. You guys were a couple years older, I think. Even though you, Nate, and Jonathan all listen to quite a bit. Like your music is way different just because you guys were like a little bit older. So I feel like there's the generation gap hit right there.
So gratuitous violence, was that generation gap?
I don't know. It was
gratuitous nudity, generation gap.
That was the reason it got above a 6.
Non-stop violence, monster trucks. Poodle hair, monster trucks, gratuitous nudity, great soundtrack.
It's no Predator. It's no
non-stop action.
No, it's definitely not Predator.
Well, then let me review this like a quality gentleman should review the movie, because you guys obviously didn't get it first. You need to look beyond the movie itself. You need to look how this movie was even made. So, one, somebody had to come up with the concept of, I want to write a movie about a dude who's a world-famous bar cooler who goes on adventures, right? So somebody spent time of their life creating a script that's a story around a bar bouncer. Then they had to take this finished product and go to a movie studio and sell it to an executive. Now, I'm assuming, I don't want to be sued for libel or slander, but I'm assuming there was a lot of cocaine involved in the writing and selling of the movie, right? I mean, this movies like this is not made with the help of pharmaceuticals. Am I losing you guys here, or are you following?
Oh, I'm with you. You.
Okay, so you got this guy who wrote the script about a bar bouncer who goes to a major Hollywood studio. They decide, that's a great idea for a movie. We're going to spend millions of dollars, and we're going to make an over 2-hour movie about a bar bouncer. And then they go after one of the biggest stars at the time, fresh off of Dirty Dancing, The Outsiders, Red Dawn, Sir Patrick Swayze. And yes, I've knighted him in his death. He's been knighted. So all 5'7", 150 pounds of Patrick Swayze, who they're going to make star as this world famous bar bouncer. So that alone doesn't matter what it looks like on screen. That alone at least gets it over the 6 mark. You throw in gratuitous violence, gratuitous nudity, a great soundtrack, Bigfoot running over things. And I hate to say it, but it's a 15 out of 10 great Buicks for me. And it's one of the greatest movies of all time.
Wow. 15 out of 10.
Great Buicks.
Wow. So we've basically created like this new scale that can go above 10.
This movie,
that is something else. That is impressive.
No matter what time of day or night, if I catch a part of this movie, I'm sucked in. Doesn't matter how tired, sick, busy, whatever I am, I will sit down and I will finish this movie.
You know why we can't rate it that high? Because Brian, Diego, and I don't have the endurance for pain either.
Pain don't hurt.
You've got no endurance for pain.
By the way, are you guys all ready? Because I think it's my week to pick the movie.
Yep, let's go. Let's go for the week picks, and let's put
he
this to bed.
Didn't pick Predator. It was kind of just chosen. So you guys have to figure that out. Who's next?
Oh, you can have it. You can have the next choice. You can have the next.
All
one.
right. You're talking to me, right?
Yeah. Go ahead, Diego.
Okay. Well, I'm going In the Line of Fire.
In the Line of Fire.
Okay.
Clint Eastwood.
The Line of Fire.
Renee
Clint Eastwood.
Russo. And the great John Malkovich.
That's right. Renee Russo, by the way, she looks amazing in 1991.
She is right in Brian's wheelhouse age-wise. She's about 52, 53.
She's a thing of beauty in that movie.
So,
right.
Since you've already seen this movie, you're going to actually watch it this time?
I'm going to watch it again because even though I've probably seen this movie also in the last couple months, because I probably saw it on TNT one Saturday, I'm going to say that to really review the movie and to know the intricate details that JJ requires, I need to watch the movie again.
Okay.
Although I think I know the movie really well.
All right.
So I didn't say what you needed to do. I asked you what you were going to do.
I'm going to do it. No, you don't understand, guys. I'm at a busy point in my life, okay? I just bought 2 properties. I'm redoing my kitchen, redoing my hardwood flooring, and my cousin in town from Peru. So I had a really busy day, guys. This isn't normal. Normally, I will be all in.
You really think you can do all that bullshit you just said?
Well, this movie's not streaming on Netflix, so you're gonna have to search and find an alternative way to see it. Somewhat, hopefully legally.
I'll figure it out.
All right, good. All right. Diego, we got you. Next week in the Line of Fire.
Next week, it's on.
It's on, guys.
Does a hobby horse have a wooden dick?